Hi, hello, hola, namaste, adab, shalom, and ciao, people. Welcome to Frisky Coders. In this video, we are going to be talking about our special code editor, nothing other than Visual Studio Code. Even though we have many other code editors and text editors available in the market, Visual Studio Code is special to many developers out there, and especially to JavaScript developers. So today we are going to be talking about how we can make our own special Visual Studio Code more special and customized to our own taste and efficient and also make us better in our productivity. So let's talk about it. The first and the foremost thing I would like to talk about is the font that is available in Visual Studio Code. So this is the font that you will be getting by default when you install your Visual Studio Code. And there is nothing wrong about this, but uh, there is a way to make it more better and what I liked is. So let's go and try a new font. Okay. So to do that, let's go to settings first. And in settings, you can find the font settings in text editor and a font, or you can search for the same in the settings for font. Okay. So you'll be getting all the necessary uh, settings regarding the font. Okay. Now in this font, the first thing we are gonna be changing is the font type. Okay. So let's go and change the font family. So this is the Gonzalez font that will be receiving by default. So let's go and change it to something called Cascadia code. Okay, Cascadia code is a font that is especially for Visual Studio Code, which makes your code look much better. So let's check this out. So yeah, this is the font. This may not be looking good right now because I have very less font size. So let's make it bigger. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, this is the font that you get when you try Cascadia code. Okay. So if you don't like this one, I have much more better option awaiting for you. So that is called Fira code. Okay. I will be giving you these font families links in the description if you ever want to install it. So this is how a Fira code looks. Okay. So personally, my choice is Fira code looks better than the original and the Cascadia code. Uh, but I would leave it to you to choose. Uh, for the Fira code, you would require to install it before you use it in Visual Studio Code if it is not installed in your system by default. Okay, I will be providing you the link for the same in the description if you want to change it. Okay, the next thing better about Fira code is we can have something called font ligatures. Let me show you what it is. So to change the font ligatures, you need to go to settings.json. So once we go there, we have something called editor.fontligatures. Okay. Now let's make it true. Okay. And save it. So once we save it, we have font ligatures on. I know you might not be seeing anything different here. Let me show you. So do you see anything different? Nothing, right? It just looks normal. Nothing different. My regular font. Okay. Now let me show you something great. So this is how when you switch on the font ligatures, your uh, signs would change. Okay. Not only this, we also have something special. Okay. So normally you would have two equal symbols, but when you have font ligatures on, all equals come under the same line. Okay. If you have three equals, like especially in JavaScript, so it would look something like this with three lines. The equal symbol would change to three equals. Okay. This happens the same when you are trying for not equals to as well. So there are many other things that you can do with font ligatures. These are just a taste of what you can do. with Fira code and linkages. Uh, just remind these linkages work better with Fira code. Without Fira code, they won't look the same. Okay, so it's your choice once again. If you would like the new way of showing symbols, you can opt for this. If not, you can always go to the traditional method of showing equals, not equals, and other symbols. Okay, so this is the first thing I wanted to show. The next thing I wanted to show was word wrap. Okay, so what is word wrap? Okay, let me show you that. Yeah, so word wrap, I have it on. Let's say I don't have it on, which is the default option. Okay, now let's see what happens when I go, when I keep typing, and when I go beyond on the line. So it creates a horizontal scroll for me. Okay, I don't want that. I want everything to be concise and fit in the single width of the screen. So I switch on word wrap. So now what happens? Everything that is beyond the screen goes into the next line, and there is no horizontal scroll. This helps me uh, always to have the code and have everything under one screen. There is no scrolling side, and there is no going to a different space where you can see only partial code and not the full code. So this always helped me. So I believe it would help you too if you have this option. So the next thing I want to talk about is shortcuts. Shortcuts in Visual Studio Code that would help you a lot. So we always have this sidebar by default open when you are using Visual Studio Code. There is no need to you for you to use the mouse and come here and click on this to make it go away. You can just give a shortcut which is Control B. So if you just give Control B, your side menu explorer would be toggling. Okay, this is one of the good shortcut which you might be using it more when you want to see more code in the single screen. Okay, also there is another option like for the GitHub. Okay, you don't want to come here with your mouse as well. You can always use Control Shift GG uh, as shortcut for your GitHub. Okay, let me show you once again. Control Shift G, and there it is, your GitHub VCS option. Okay, yeah, and there is one special shortcut in Visual Studio Code which is so helpful. That is Control Shift P. Okay, so this Control Shift P is nothing but a, uh, kind of a search option for all the commands that can be used in under Visual Studio Code. Okay, so you can have any command like git initialize repository, git clone. You can have terminal options. You can have whatever you want. Almost all commands that you can give to Visual Studio Code are all available under one shortcut, Control Shift P. Okay, so that is one of the greatest shortcuts you can ever find. There is another shortcut which is nothing but Control P. Control P, this is for opening any file in your workspace or the folder that you have opened currently in Visual Studio Code. Okay, so these are like one of the good uh, shortcuts that you can always use to make sure so that you don't have to use your mouse or you have to navigate when you have a bigger project. It is kind of difficult for you to go through all the folders and navigate through the hierarchy. So that time you can just use Control B and search for the file and you get it there. Cool, right? Yeah. So the next thing I want to show you is something called minimap. Okay. For this, I would like you to use Control Shift P. Okay. So minimap is something you get by default. Okay. So let me use minimap. Okay. Okay. It's visible. I am not sure. Let me add some code so that it will be visible for you. Okay. So yeah, I hope you guys can make it out here. If not, I can show you once again. So if I just keep adding here, you can see there is a small portion where I can just scroll my code. Okay, instead of my scroll normal traditional scroll bar, I can also scroll through a portion of the code. Okay, so this is something called minimap. If my personal preference is I wouldn't need a minimap because I always I like scrolling than scrolling a portion of the code. So my personal preference is not like I should not be seeing the minimap. But if you like it, you can just toggle it whenever you want. Okay. Yeah, that is one of the options we have, and there is another option called Zen mode. So for this, you can use the same Control Shift P for the command, and this is the toggle Zen mode option. Okay, so if you click on that, you'll be having your Visual Studio Code looking like this. So you just see your code, nothing else. No GitHub, no nothing. No editor, no file hierarchy, nothing. You just concentrate on your code, nothing else. Okay, so if you can just again Control Shift P, give toggles and mode, and you're out of it. So if you are like you want to concentrate on your just your code, nothing else in the file, you can use the Zen mode, which will make you concentrate better and focus on it. Okay, so yeah, this is one of the good options we have in Visual Studio Code. The next thing we have is uh, when I want to select a particular word. Okay, let's say I want to select a word that my cursor is currently present. You can just do that by using the shortcut Control D. So no mouse. Okay, so I use so many shortcuts so that I don't break. Okay, so while coding, I do not want to move out of my choice or my focus and go to my mouse, search for my mouse and double click on it or select like this. I'll just use my shortcuts, which make me so much better. And the one more uh, beautiful shortcut I want to show you is something this. Cool, right? You get the same line that is available in the below line as well. For this, the shortcut is Alt Shift down arrow. You can do the same for if you want to do for the upper line. Let me show you that as well. So Alt Shift up key. So you have the same code available in the line that is above. You can use the same for below key. How do you know if it has come to the above line or below line? You might ask me. So let me show you a small observation. So when you have something like this, if you give Alt Shift F, sorry Alt Shift up arrow, your cursor is in the same line. That is, whatever you had will go to the below line, and the same is copied to the current line. Whereas when you give Alt Shift down arrow, your pointer goes to the next line. That means whatever you copied is in the next line. So this is how you identify you copied it to the above line or below line. Okay. So that is one of the coolest things, so that I don't have to type if I have, like, for example, I want to do many logs. Okay. So I don't have to type the whole thing once again. I can just do Alt Shift down arrow. I get the same code and I just in the message what I want to. Cool, right? Yeah. So yeah, let's go to the next one. So there is something called Emmet in Visual Studio by default that is available. Let me show you. One of the coolest thing Emmet does is it gives us boilerplate codes, especially for HTML. Let me show you. So when I give an exclamation mark, I get two options for Emmet abbreviations. So the first option, if I choose, I get the whole by default HTML code that will be necessary so that we can just concentrate on our body. These are the minimal options that you can have for any web page. Okay, cool, right? You don't need to have to type from the doc type HTML to the whole body tag. You can just have the whole thing with just a single key, that is exclamation. So cool, na? So the other abbreviation I wanted to show you is this. This is not so much beneficiary as per my knowledge, but let me show you. So if I choose this, you get the first line of HTML, that is doc type HTML when you want to use HTML5. So yeah, these are Emmet abbreviations. Okay, so they provide powerful shortcuts not only for HTML but also for CSS. But I'm showing currently for HTML. You can always search for CSS abbreviations online. It won't be much of a bigger problem. The other thing I wanted to talk about is snippets. I'm not sure how many of you have heard about this or how many of you have ever tried it, but snippets is a great option that Visual Studio Code provides. So let me show you few small snippets that I already have, and let's try to create few other, and so that I can show you how it is done. Okay, so for that I'm going to use the shortcut Control Shift P and search for something called snippets. So we have these options. So I'm going to choose configure user snippets. Okay, so yeah, now we have many options here. For different language you can create different snippets. The language I am choosing for is JavaScript. Okay, so we have JavaScript snippets. Yeah, so this is the JavaScript snippet. Right now I don't have anything configured here. Let's configure for a small thing. Let's start with a very small thing. Okay, so let's say I want to configure a snippet for console.log. Okay, so for that, let's give me a name, that is frisky log. Okay, and under this, so I have to give a prefix. This is what I'm going to be typing, so that I get this code. Okay, so the body would be something like this: console.log quotes and $1. Sorry. Yeah, and if I want to give any description, that can be done too. So like whiskey coders log. Okay, so I save it, and now I come to a JS file. Now I try something frisky, so it shows me frisky log. Okay, let's see what it does. Cool, right? I see console.log and my pointer points to the quotes. How it is pointing to these quotes? Because we gave something called $1. This points out that the cursor should come to this position first. Okay, cool, right? So there is no need to give the whole console.log now. Actually, you already have a snippet available by default from Visual Studio Code, which when you type log, you get console.log. But if you want to change it to as I've shown, like with codes and all, you can just write your own snippet, or you can use the default one. So let me show you another one. This is something we always use: frisky try catch. So try catch is something we always use, and we always have to type try catch everything. So let's change it today. Okay, now for this I want the prefix to be frisky try. Okay, so and the body for it would be so when we have something like we have to give series or uh, a stack of lines of code. Instead of using a string, we have to pass an array of strings. Okay, so each string suggests a new line. Okay, now the first line of code should have something try and a flag is open, and then the next line should have for me uh, $1, where that is nothing but the code what the user should type here, and then the second line should, sorry, the third line should have for me the closing parenthesis for try, and then the catch block and the name of the error or the exception. So for that I give $2 so that user can type on it now. And then the next line will have the body of the catch statement. Sorry, I have to close the open the catch. Yeah. So and then we have something to close the catch. Okay, and we give something called $0 at the end. Let me show you what this does. So now I have created a frisky try catch. Okay, so this frisky try, let's see what it is going to do. So frisky try. So this the pointer points to me where it should like the first thing, and if I give a tab here, it will just take me to the second pointer, that is $2 that we have given here. So if I give something like error, sorry, yeah, so and then if I give another tab here, sorry, let me show you once again. Let's keep try. I give a tab, so this is the error. Now if I try a tab, it will go to $3 position. The cursor points to $3, and if I give another tab, it will go to the $0. $0 is nothing but the end position. Okay, $0 always suggests this would be the position where at the end you should be going. Now, so but this does not look good, right? I have to always give a tab so that I make my indentation proper. Now let's add the indentation to it as well. So let me show you that as well. Now in this line I'll add something \t and save it. Now I come back, remove the try catch block. Again, I try the frisky try. So yeah, my pointer comes with a tab space. Cool, right? You can change whatever the flow you would like to have. For me personally, if you ask me, I would like it to have something with like this. First, I give the error in the catch block and what I want to do for the error, and then I explain the body of the try statement. So this is my personal preference. You can try anything you want and you would like comfortable. Okay, so I give the first catch and then the body of the catch and then the try catch. So I want the catch as well with some indentation here. So let's see another snippet that we normally JavaScript developers, this is mostly for JavaScript developers. So or let me show you one other common thing and then we'll go to JavaScript developers one. That is nothing but for loop. So let me show you how we can have a better for loop in Visual Studio Code. Frisky for. Now, generally, let's see what is the current for loop snippet that we get in Visual Studio Code. Okay, so by default we get something like this. So if you give an I here, so if you give an I here, and you have to change the index everywhere, wherever the change is there. So let's do something like uh, if I change the index here, it will change every place else wherever the index is there. That would be great, right? So let me show you how to do that. So for that, let's give the prefix as whiskey fur. Now the body. So for the body, we'll be needing multiple lines. So I'm giving an array. The first line will have something like for let index is equal to 0, index less than length, and then index plus plus. And then the next line would have something like this. It will have an indentation, and then user can give whatever he wants to. Then the next line will have the closing option for the for loop. Okay. Now this is the same as what we have seen earlier. So if I use a frisky for now, you'll get almost the same thing what you have seen earlier. Now let's do what we talked about. So let's make this index a dollar index, and the same goes here and here, and save it. Now if I try this before, I have something like this. Okay. Now if I change, sorry, there is some here. Sorry about that, guys. Yeah. So I made a small change here. I've removed the $1 and $0 symbol so that my pointer stays here. Okay. So now let me try in frisky first. So my pointer stays at index. Now if I change the value, it changes everywhere. Cool, right? I would have something like this available so that I would never have to type 3 times for the index. I guess it's cool, and I find it very helpful in occasions. So, and now going to JavaScript specific. So we have something called promises in JavaScript. So for promises also we have kind of a bit lengthy code. So let's try and make it a smaller one. Okay. So my frisky promise will be something like this. So it will have prefix frisky promise, and the body of it would be something. So we'll have the first line of it would have something like this. So when I am having a promise, I would be having something like this. So we'll be having resolve and reject as the inputs. And so you might have seen here how my equals to and greater than has changed. This is because of the font languages that I have spoken to you earlier in this video. So if I just remove the greater than symbol here, it would look like normal equals to. Now if I give the greater than symbol, it looks great, right? Rather than the traditional lambda expression, we have a cool way to show the lambda expression. So the next line for it would have something like this. So inside the function, I would want whatever the user wants to type. So I give an indentation and whatever user can type, and then now I would like to close the promise here, and before closing the promise, I would like to add few more things. For example, I want to add a try catch block inside the promise. So I will give a try here, and then user can type whatever he wants. So double indentation here, and then I close the try, and then give a catch block. So let's have it at the end. What is the number? What would the number be? So the catch block here has the first number as to my preference, and I open the catch block, and then I have the catch with the indentations, the catch body, and then I close it. Let's close everything in the same line. That would be better, right? Let's have it like this only, so that we can always differentiate the catch block and the promise. So let's add indentations to try and the catch block. Set a command here. Yeah. So I have the whole body available for the promise. Now for the description, it's the promise. Let's save it. You might have seen on save my code has rearranged itself. I will be talking to you about it in a short while. But for now, let's see how the promise works with snippets. Okay. So I have frisky promise. So first I give the cat block with an error, and I would like to log it, and then oh, I forgot to give a dollar number here, so it gives me a dollar. Sorry about that. Let's change it with $3. So now my frisky promise is something like this. Yep. So I have the error, and let me log it with frisky block. I think the snippet inside snippet is not working, so let's go with traditional way of console.log and error. Now if I give a tab, now I can give whatever I want in the return. What I can also do here is I can add a small attachment. So every promise has its own reject and resolve. So let's have uh, whatever the user types here to be the uh, reject cache block. Okay, so reject with the same error. Let me take out this option. Okay, so now what happens is if I try frisky promise, so I have the error by default and it is rejecting by default. Cool, right? We can also add the resolve statement if you would like, but we don't have the whatever inputs at the start itself, so we are not I'm not adding it. I will be adding it at the end if I want to resolve it. But if you want in your snippet, you can add it. So as I said, it's all about you guys. It's all about you and your preferences and your customization. So these are a few snippets that I am currently using. You can use snippets for many other purposes, like when you want to use process.env for environment variables. You can also use for hook states, like when you have to use a state in the React. So it's your what everything is you about you. So good luck. I hope this helps you and makes you productive and helps you in one way or the other. Now, the next thing we are going to be talking about is extensions. Extensions in Visual Studio Code are very, very, very important, guys. So, Visual Studio Code extensions will always help. There are many extensions available actually, but you don't have need to have an extension for everything, but it's better to have an extension for at least the basic and the coolest functionality you can ever have. So the first ever extension I'm going to talk about is this is the extension that helps me a lot. I'm so sorry, guys. So the extension name is nothing but GitLens. Okay, so let me show you what it is. So this is the GitLens extension. So you have a 9 million downloads for it. GitLens is a very, very, very great extension to have when you have to work with teams. Okay, so it gives you many options like let me initialize my repository so I can show you how it looks. So yeah, this is how it looks. Okay, it gives me the source control changes. These changes you can see without the Gitlines as well, because these are by default available by Visual Studio Code. But all these options that are available here are provided by Gitlines. So you can see all the commits for your repositories. You can see the whole file history of a specific file that you want to choose. And the more best part about these extensions is, let me show you. When I publish to my Git, okay, let me publish this to my Git. Yeah, yes. So I have added my project to GitHub. Now the best thing is about these lines. So for every line you will get who has done the change and when they have done the change and what commit was it changed in. So if they are, like for example, from your side and they're not committed, let's say this is something I have. So I get something like this. You seconds ago uncommitted changes. So these are the uncommitted changes. Whereas this one is a minute ago the first commit that I did. And it will also show me the commit messages and all other details when you want to search for it. Great, right? We can also see the working tree of it and many other options when you scroll on to it. So it will show me to connect to GitHub. It will give me the option to see the merge options, everything. So this GitLens extension is one of the coolest and can be used a lot. And this helps you like whenever you are working in a team. This helps you a lot with your Git. And the next thing I liked recently is an extension called Thunderbird. Sorry, Thunder Client. So this extension is something. Let me show you Thunder Client. Yeah. So this extension has right now has less comparatively other to other extensions, but I really like this extension because it gives me an UI or an like instead of using a postman, it gives me the option to search for any get or post method, just like as in postman, but inside Visual Studio Code itself. I don't have to go to anywhere else. So I'll get the response like this, stylized, and I can give whatever inputs I have, just like in Postman. But I don't have to go to Postman. I can do the same inside my Visual Studio Code. I like this so much, I couldn't tell you enough. So this is one of the greatest extensions that I recently found, and I really hope uh, this gets its appreciation. Yeah, and then the next extension I want to talk about is called Prettier. So this is a code formatter. As if you have remembered an earlier code of mine when I was doing my snippets for JavaScript. So you might have observed, like let's say I'll do this. Okay, so let me have it rearranged anywhere else. Okay, so when I save this, it just magically turns itself into a beautiful code. So for this, you have to install the extension Prettier, and also you have to do a small change in your settings. Let's go to my settings and check that. Okay, so there is something called format on save. Okay, so this option by default would be unchecked, but you can check it so that your Prettier does all the necessary changes when you are doing your code. Okay, this is a great extension, guys. And I also have enabled format on paste. So whenever I copy paste something into my file, it formats automatically the next second before I even could save it. So it's your own choice. If you want only like when you are saving the file to format it, cool. If you want during paste also, you can add the same here. And then the next extension I liked is bookmarks. So bookmarks is let me show you. If I toggle it, currently there are no bookmarks. Okay, so let's say I'll add a bookmark here. So when I toggle it, yeah, I can have bookmarks like this. Okay, so these are breakpoints. Sorry. Yeah, so you can have a bookmarks by going right clicking and add the bookmark here and use toggle. So it will add a bookmark here. So whenever like if I have a code that I have to change it later, I add a bookmark like this. So later when I just open this bookmark, I can see what I have in the bookmark. Let me have something way below. Okay, now I want to bookmark this. So I give the shortcut Control Shift K. Sorry, it was Control Shift K or Control Alt K. Sorry, Control Alt K. Okay, let me try it again. Control Alt K will toggle my bookmark. Now I go to another file. Now I want to come back and make changes here. So what I can do is I can directly go to bookmarks. I can select the bookmark where it is, and I automatic come there. Cool, right? Yeah. So this is one of the extensions I wanted to show you. So there are many other extensions that are available and very useful for all the developers. I'll be giving those extensions to you in the description. Please check out. If you really like it, please add a thumbs up, like the video, share it, subscribe it, and if you have any queries or if you have any better extensions, please let me know in the comments. I really hope you like this video. Thank you for watching the video, guys. Thank you very much.